Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly. Well, welcome back to the DCL podcast, and as always, I'm pretty excited whenever we get a chance to go back over to Germany, and I'd like to welcome back to the show Florian Feimann. How are you doing tonight, Florian?
I'm fine, thank you, Steve. Thank you for, I think, the third time now that I can be your guest.
You're becoming you're our number one guest now. You've been the most times on our show, so I'm going to have to, when I go on my cruise in May, I'm going to have to find something special so I can send it to you to thank you for all the times you've come on.
Thanks, thank you. That would be nice.
Yeah. So I'll look for something look for something special. But pretty excited tonight because you've got some updates once again of some happenings over at Meyer Werft.
Yep, we have some news as always from Meyer Werft, fast-moving company.
Yeah, they never slow down, do they?
Oh no, they can't afford it. Yeah, we have some pretty good news. Well, not so good for all the Disney Cruise Line fans, because so far Disney Cruise Line was the most entertaining cruise line at the shipyard. But I think another company will take that rank in August.
Uh-oh.
Yep, because for the very, very first time, it is really special also for the whole shipyard and the whole town, we will have a christening ceremony of a new boat directly at the shipyard.
Before you talk about it, what exactly is a christening ceremony? Let's talk about that for people that don't know.
That's actually the ceremony when the ship officially gets her name. And, the ceremony when the bottle of champagne gets thrown against the hull of the ship. And that's for the very first time done in Papenburg directly at the shipyard. Although that's not really correct, because in the early 2000s, this happened as well, but in very, very small ceremonies. When the godmothers of the ships were like the wives of the CEOs of the companies, and today Disney Cruise Line is the best example. You have to do something special for your christening or your name-giving ceremony. And AIDA Cruises, the market leader in Germany, will do this with a whole concert with 25,000 people right in front of the shipyard.
Wow. So which ship is coming out that they're going to christen? Obviously, you don't know the name because we'll find that out when it comes out, correct?
Yeah, we already do know the name.
Okay.
It's AIDA Nova.
Okay.
AIDA Nova, the first LNG cruise ship that I already mentioned. The second time I was your guest. So we know the name, but we don't know who will be the godmother. So that's going to be interesting. The ceremony will be held at August 31st, which is my birthday. And David Guetta, the French DJ, will play his only concert in Germany at the name-giving ceremony.
Wow. So will you be in town to be able to see that? Or I can't remember when you were leaving on your when you leave with Mein Schiff 6.
Unfortunately, I will already be gone. I will be in Southampton that day, because unfortunately the ship I will go on changed. It's now Mein Schiff 3, not Mein Schiff 6.
Oh, okay. So
I will stay. Yes, unfortunately, I will stay in Europe for a little while, and from Northern Europe it goes to the Mediterranean and then Eastern to Asia, and I will go until Singapore, I think.
Well, that's exciting, though, to be going where you're getting to go. And unfortunately, you're not going to be able to see the christening ceremony. But is this something that they'll put this probably on their YouTube channel? So if people want to take a look and see how that is done, I'm guessing they'll probably have some video of that. Do you think?
Yes, absolutely. I'm not sure whether the whole concert will be in the live stream or whatever, because of the rights you have to take care of and so on. But the name-giving ceremony itself would surely be live streamed to Facebook and YouTube and wherever. So, and it's going to be in the evening hours, so very friendly for people from the US who are interested.
That's pretty exciting news. So yeah, you're right. Disney's going to have to step it up, I guess, in a couple years in 2021 when their first ship comes off or 2020, excuse me, when their first ship comes out from being built there at Meyer Werft. So we'll see if they can step up to the challenge or not.
That will be interesting to see, but as far as I know, Disney Cruise Line, they will have some ideas.
Yeah. So I was just looking it up because I kind of drew a blank who some of the godmothers of the Disney ships were, and they have the Disney Magic is Patty Disney, Tinkerbell is the godmother of Disney Wonder, Jennifer Hudson is the Disney Dream, and I can't find the Fantasy for some reason. But
it should be Mariah Carey, if I'm correct.
I think you're right. Yeah, it is Mariah Carey. Yep, it is. Yeah. So
just a few weeks ago, I watched the name-giving ceremonies of Disney Dream and Disney Fantasy on YouTube. You can find them there, which is very nice. And you can even see Bernard Meyer, the CEO of Meyer Werft, in these videos.
That's pretty cool. So, well, we'll have to stay tuned. We'll tune in for the Aida Nova and watch that, and then we'll see if Disney can step up to the challenge in a couple of years, huh?
Yeah, absolutely.
So anything else going on over at Meyer Werft? I know it's been pretty recent since we talked. I did see, and I want to thank you for those who may not have caught it. I found the wrong picture. I thought I saw the Norwegian Bliss leaving and doing its conveyance to the North Sea, and I actually had some older pictures, and I want to thank you for correcting me on that. Try and get it right sometimes, but sometimes I make a mistake. But they have now, the Norwegian Bliss has actually left Meyer Werft, and it's is it in the North Sea now?
Yes, exactly. She's on her sea trials, and she was up to Norway already to do all the tests you have to do. For example, high-speed tests, brake tests, so to speak, to measure how fast the ship slows down and what length it takes and so on. All that has already been done, and the ship is now in Eemshaven in the Netherlands, on the North Sea coast. Crew is coming on board, testing everything. Already the restaurants and so on are in rehearsal mode, so to speak. So everything is set up for her first cruise in end of April.
Okay, and then you've got some pretty exciting news about that, right?
Yeah, I'm very, very excited because I will be on Norwegian Bliss inaugural cruise, going from Bremerhaven in Germany to Southampton in the UK. It's a 2-night cruise, unfortunately only 2 nights, and press and travel agents and so on will be on the ship to get to know the new ship before it goes to the US and to Alaska.
So kind of a neat thing for the cruise line. They do this for all. I saw the Norwegian Breakaway when the Mighty Ships video. They showed kind of this, and after they did all the testing up in the North Sea, and then they usually do this 1 or 2 night cruise, like you said, where all the crew gets to kind of shake off the rust and learn all of their jobs and everything else with the new ship, and you get to experience it. How did you get picked for that, or how did that work?
During my studies, I had to do some internships, and one of the internships I spent with Norwegian Cruise Line. So I knew all the people in the marketing department and sales department and their new CEO or vice president and general manager for Europe and so on. And as you know, I'm also a travel blogger. So I was fortunate enough to get picked for it, to write about the new ship afterwards.
That's perfect. And let's just go back and put a plug in for that. Why don't you tell everybody about your travel blog again, where they can find you, where they can follow along with you, because you've got some amazing pictures on there. And if you want to see some of Florian's pictures when he goes on with the Bliss, you can go on his site. So why don't you talk about that just a little quick so everybody can go and find that.
Yeah, there's the site travelerblog.eu, which is a general travel blog. I do it with one more guy, and I do the cruise section, so to speak, at travelerblog.eu. And I will, of course, write there about the Norwegian Bliss. And I also started recently a new project on my own. It's recently on Facebook and Instagram called difficult German word, Kreuzfahrtlotse, which means something like cruise pilot. I can send you the link afterwards if you're interested.
I think I liked it on Facebook. I follow it on Facebook, so I'll make sure that I put a link in the show notes for everybody if you want to just click on that, and then you can get to it fairly easily.
Oh, that would be very nice of you.
Yeah.
That will help me get some followers. Yeah.
So, with the Norwegian Bliss, will your girlfriend go with you, or will you just go by yourself, or how does that work?
Unfortunately, I will go by myself because, of course, demand for such a cruise is very high, and the cruise fares have to be paid by the company itself, so to speak. So it's not allowed to bring someone.
Okay.
Which is very, very bad. For me it's not, but for her it's even worse, of course.
Yeah. Now, is she as big a fan of cruising as you are? Because you met her working, right?
Yeah, we met at university. We are studying cruise tourism management, and yeah, we chose the same courses. We chose the same study program and so on. Yeah, that's how we met. And she's not so much into cruises. She's very interested, but I'm more like the real enthusiast.
But does she like to travel still?
Oh yeah, she does.
Okay.
And we have so many ideas where we need to go, where we want to go. I hope we have enough time to go to all these places.
Now, I forget, will she join you on Mein Schiff 3?
Yeah, she will.
Okay, so you guys will both be able to change from 6 to 3 then this summer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fortunately, that's one of the requirements we set to the company, to Mein Schiff and Sea Chefs, the employment company, because when we go on board, we want to go on the same ship.
Well, that's good that you guys got to make that work. Do they give you, going back to the Norwegian Bliss, do they give you kind of a itinerary of what to expect on the 2 days, or I'm guessing they probably have some type of shows that you could maybe go see in the evenings, or do they give you kind of anything, or is it more just kind of wandering around and just experiencing everything that you can experience? Do you know?
You could do both, so you can choose yourself, but there will be programs. There will be kind of lectures about the new ship, about the innovation, about Norwegian Cruise Line itself, because a lot of travel agents in Germany don't know Norwegian Cruise Line very well. Of course, there will be shows for us. The musical is Jersey Boys.
Okay.
That we will see. Yeah, sometimes they do like little quizzes, and in order to be able to answer all the questions, you have to get around the whole ship and experience things. So they know how to make you explore the vessel.
Okay. What are you looking forward to, or what are the things that you're looking forward to in your 2-day cruise?
The go-kart track. Definitely the go-kart track.
Yeah, let's talk about that real quick. Some of the entertainment options on it. They're the first one that has a go-kart track. It's on the very aft end of the ship, and you can see it in the pictures. Is there anything you can tell us about it that you know already?
Just a few things. It's, I think, around 1,000 feet long. Is that realistic? I don't know. 360 meters or something like that. I'm not sure, but around that.
Okay.
And the carts go around 25 miles per hour, which is quite fast when you keep in mind that it's on a ship. And they're electric, so you don't disturb the people around the swimming pool.
So it's fairly quiet, but fast.
Yeah. And I'm really looking forward to experience it. And I have something in my mind that I want to do, because the day the cruise starts, it gets handed over from IFF to Norwegian Cruise Line. So I'm pretty sure Andy Stewart, the president of Norwegian Cruise Line, and maybe also Frank Del Rio, the CEO of the Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings, could be present. And I would like to challenge Andy Stewart on the go-kart track.
Oh, for a race.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I hope he will agree to do that. I won't let him win.
Yeah, I was going to say. Now, I know you're a Formula One fan, because we talked about when you were in Monaco, you went and got to visit the Formula One track there in Monaco. So I was guessing that you're probably a pretty big fan. Have you raced before?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
Sure side.
Yeah. So you might have a little bit of an edge up on him, maybe. I don't know.
We will see.
We'll see.
Yeah. I will report afterwards.
Okay, perfect. How about any? I forget. We talked a little bit about it. Is there any special technology that you know that Norwegian's bringing out on the Bliss that's new, kind of along the lines of what Royal Caribbean's done, where you could order? We were talking at one point 2 shows ago where on Royal Caribbean they're starting the technology where you can actually order drinks from wherever you are, and then they'll just bring it to you through the app on your phone, I think.
I don't know yet whether something like that will be on Norwegian Bliss, but a lot of things that were introduced with Norwegian Joy will also be on board Norwegian Bliss. I don't know exactly what they are, but as Norwegian Joy was customly built for the Asian source market, a lot of technology was used there. A lot of augmented reality and virtual reality technology was used. And I'm really excited to see what kind of technology we will see on board Norwegian Bliss. But I really have no idea, but I'm pretty sure there will be some highlights.
Okay. Well, we'll have to get you to report back when you get back from your cruise and see what your thoughts are.
Absolutely. I will... I think I will enjoy it, and I will enjoy telling other people about it.
Well, like we said, I'll put the in the show notes. I'll have a link to your blog, and then people can go and follow you there in April to see kind of some pictures and see some of your thoughts.
Yeah, that would be very nice.
Perfect. Well, is there anything else going on? I mean, obviously there's always something going on at Meyer Werft, but anything else big going on at this time besides, I think, Royal Caribbean's ship is in there next being built?
Exactly, yeah. The engine room unit for Spectrum of the Seas is on her way to the Meyer Werft. So it's not down the River Ems, but up the River Ems. And so construction on Spectrum of the Seas will start in the next few days. Just keep in mind that around 1 year from now, 13 months from now, she will be ready and then in the position that Norwegian Bliss is right now. And we don't even have the engine room unit in Papenburg now.
So that's pretty amazing that they can put a ship together that fast, that is that big and that complicated.
It's also thrilling for me, and I'm kind of used to it because I know it works, and it has been working for years and years and years. But still, I cannot imagine that it will work.
I think what some of the things, like watching some of the videos that I think would be kind of cool, being able to be a guide like you are over there and see, is just each ship is very different. Now the Breakaway, I mean, there's some sister ships that kind of come out, but it's not like looking at a whole bunch of 737s or 787s. They all look the same as they come out. Maybe they get painted differently. They're a little bit different inside, but each one of those ships that is built over there is so completely different. So it's just amazing to see each one come out and experience them.
Yeah, it definitely is. And especially in the comfortable situation that Meyer Werft is in with all the different customers, it's very interesting to see the differences.
Mm. Do they make a big, when Meyer Werft signs on for a new ship for a company, does it a big headline there in Papenburg? Are people pretty excited about that when each one gets signed on, or is it becoming kind of old hat? Does that make sense? Where it's just kind of to be expected? I'm
pretty sure most people living in Papenburg are aware that every now and then Meyer Werft will sign a contract for another ship and another ship. But it's big news because everyone in Papenburg is either working for Meyer Werft or knows somebody that is who is working for Meyer Werft. So it obviously is a topic in all families at every lunch, at every dinner you have. Okay. Yeah, I figured it would be because it's kind of a small community, so it's a very important part of the community. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely right. Well, awesome. Well, let's talk about where you just got back from Berlin. You had an opportunity to go to the ITB conference, and what does that stand for? It says International Tourism, what's called Börse, Trade Fair, okay. ITB. Yeah, in German it's Internationale Tourismusbörse, ITB. Yeah, it's the largest and most important trade fair for tourism in general. And of course, all the big and small cruise lines also have their booth there, do press conferences. And the newest statistics for cruises, for example, are also presented.
Okay. And so is this cruise companies from all over the world, or is it more European specific?
No, it's from all over the world.
Okay.
You can see AIDA, you can see Norwegian Cruise Line, you can see small companies from Thailand or Australia. You can, companies and people from all different nations and countries and continents.
Okay, and this took place in Frankfurt, correct?
Berlin.
Oh, Berlin. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I knew that.
You had it right before.
I don't know why I've got Frankfurt on the brain for some reason today. Well, what were some of the highlights that you were able to take away from your weekend there in Berlin?
There were a few things, especially the press conference of the CLIA, Cruise Lines International Association, for example, where the newest numbers were presented. We can talk about that in just a minute. And, for example, the press conference of Norwegian Cruise Line, where they announced that they would build a new terminal in Miami, for example. So ITB was at the same time that Sea Trade Global Conference, the most important trade fair for cruises, was held in Fort Lauderdale. So they arranged it the right way that the news that was made public in Fort Lauderdale by all the big bosses could also be spread in Berlin, which was very nice. So we got the news firsthand. And of course, the highlights were, for example, there's a small German cruise line offering river cruises that now will get their first expedition cruise ship, or will get it next year. So these are all the news you can get and see what's new in the industry. Of course, meet new people, meet people you already know. It's stressful, but it's also very exciting.
So a great place to find out what's happening, what's new, and also to kind of meet new people and others that you know, to build connections for your company or else just yourself as far as where you may want to go, huh?
Yeah, just exactly that. Yeah, because everyone is going.
So talking about some of the highlights then, you touched on Norwegian. Norwegian's going to redo a whole section of their terminal in Miami, just like Royal Caribbean's done. I think Disney's just too small to. They've got Port Canaveral. They've put a lot of money there, but I'm not sure that there's any place else that they, at least at this time, that they're going to do that. Maybe when the next 3 ships come, they may look for another port that they may expand a little bit more on.
Hopefully in Europe.
Yeah, was Disney a presence at all over there? Did they have anybody over there? Just out of curiosity.
No, I didn't see anyone from Disney Cruise Line. Yeah. They do have a little press agency here, and it's located in Munich. But it's very hard to get in touch with them. I requested to go on board Disney, I think Wonder, she's in Europe? Or
the Magic. Yeah, the Magic.
The Magic. And I requested to either go on board in one of the German ports in Warnemünde or in Amsterdam. And they said, no, there's no possibility. We can't do that. We didn't get any capacity for that. I just wanted to go there for just a few hours, and there's no possibility. So Europe, very, very hard to get.
They're such a small player that it doesn't surprise me, I guess, that they don't have a huge presence there or anything like that. Yeah. But it would be nice if you could go on there sometime.
Maybe I have to book a cruise with them.
Yeah, there you go. We'll have to go on a cruise together one of these. So let's talk about some of the highlights then. You're talking about this is a time where they announced the numbers of how many people are cruising, and I thought this is kind of some fascinating numbers that you came up with as far as how many people are cruising in the different countries.
I got the numbers from the German source market, so how many Germans went on a cruise. And then I became curious and I wanted to know the numbers for the US, and I found them because Cruise Lines International Association is also in the US. And just to get you an idea, there are 2.2 million people from Germany that went on a cruise in 2007. Do you have a guess how many were in the US in 2017.
I have no idea. Probably a little bit more than that.
Yeah, a little bit more. Just a little more than 13 million people.
Wow.
So the US is number one. It's the largest market for cruises. Not surprising. But Germany is number three.
So who is number two?
China, as far as I know. It used to be Germany on number two for 2 or 3 years. And then because China grew even more than Germany, they took over place number two.
I was just looking up the population of Germany and trying to do the math in my head, and it's like totally. So there's 82 million people roughly in Germany. That was in 2015. So 2 million. So what is that? That's just a little about percentage wise.
2%.
Yeah, 2%.
2.5, something like that. Yeah, 2.5. Yeah.
So and then the U.S. the population is 325 million. You said there was 23 million.
13
million.
13 million.
Okay, so that works out to a lot less. So the percentage wise is a lot less in the U.S. of people that have gone on a cruise before compared to how many people in Germany have gone on a cruise. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you said in Germany it's actually growing, right?
Yeah, compared to 2016. There were 8.4% more people on a cruise from Germany in 2017. And when you compare 15 and 16, it was even more. It was 11.3%. Wow. So that's very good. In comparison, the U.S. market grew 4.9% from 2016 to 2017.
Why do you think that is as far as Germans wanting to go on cruises? Is it just the word getting out? Is it and I hesitate to say this because I think the cruise market has completely changed, but the cruise market used to be kind of known as mostly older people do it. So is it because as your population grows older, more people have the time and the money to go and do it, or what's your sense, Florian?
I think it's because cruises get more and more attention, and people recognize the advantages of cruises, because I just see the numbers of the average age, and in 2013 it was 50.2 years in Germany. 17 it was 94.6, so people even get younger. Mm-hmm. So I think it's because the whole industry changes. Ships get bigger, more entertaining, more attracting. They, like we say in the studies as well, the ship become a destination by themselves. Mm-hmm. So it's more attractive for all people around, all ages, all social groups, whatever. It doesn't make a difference anymore because there is the right ship for anyone.
Yeah,
I think that's why more and more people decide to go on a cruise.
I think you're spot on with that too, from everything that I've listened to over here as far as cruising goes. And I mean, it was pretty interesting because they were talking about all of the obviously the economy has been doing fairly well over here and just the world in general the last couple of years, and Royal Caribbean and Carnival and Norwegian, the big players over here are all expanding like crazy with the new ships, but they're also changing. And one of the things, changing some of the markets that they're of the demographics of people that they're trying to attract. So the millennial generation, by having, they know that the millennials like a lot of entertainment. They like also that maybe short, quick weekends, and so they're changing some of their itineraries around to have more 2, 3, 4 day cruises that are easy for them to go on. So I think the sky's the limit as far as expansion goes in cruising.
Yes, absolutely. There's no sign that the growth will slow or even stop. And you're absolutely right, because I just see the average age of cruises in the US is 46, so it's even younger than in Germany.
Yeah, I think I think the one thing maybe holding the US back a little bit is just everything is so concentrated in the Caribbean, and I think we're starting to see Carnival just put a cruise ship over on the Pacific side. And Disney this coming year in 2019, the Wonder is going to be over on the Pacific a little bit longer than she has been in the past. So if they can expand where they go to so that not everything is just so centrally located down to the Caribbean, where there's more opportunities for people here on the West Coast to go, I think that their numbers will grow even further. They just don't have the islands that they do on the West Coast. Like the Caribbean is just so easy for them to go down and sail around whereas out here you've got Mexico, you've got Alaska, and then you've got Hawaii, but Hawaii's kind of a long cruise to get back and forth on. So that'll be interesting to see what happens, but I think that the expansion is going to continue to grow.
Yes, absolutely. And the numbers are, sorry to just talk about the numbers, but they absolutely support what you just said. Because out of these 13 million cruises, 9.2 million went to the Caribbean, Bahamas, or Bermuda in 2017. And next in a row is Hawaii, North American West Coast, Mexico, California, Pacific, with 1.2 million cruises.
Yeah, so it's a big difference.
Absolutely. And compared to Germany, it's one quarter likes Northern Europe, one quarter goes to the Mediterranean, 10% or 11% go to Caribbean, Bahamas, Bermuda. So it's not such a huge difference.
Right.
And it's more divided across all the different destinations. And in the US, it's really about the Caribbean. And of course, it depends on where cruise lines homeport their ships. And therefore, I think it's very good that Norwegian Cruise Line with the Bliss and Royal Caribbean with the, I think, Ovation of the Seas, and that they homeport bigger ships in Alaska, for example.
Definitely.
From a company perspective. It might not be from an environmental perspective, but yeah.
Alaska has definitely still got a lot of growth in it. The tough part with Alaska is some of the towns are so small that you can kind of feel like you're overrun. But maybe that's the same in the Caribbean with some of the islands when you get several cruise ships in there too. Well, awesome. Anything else you can think of along those lines? I think we talked quite a bit on those numbers there.
No, Germans and US Americans both like to go on a cruise for 7 days in average, so very similar.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that's it.
Okay. Yeah,
we don't want to get too much in detail. I like numbers. I really like.
So do I. So what with your studies, where do you kind of hope to end up as far as where do you want to focus your energy someday, as far as thinking about the cruise industry?
Well, after spending 1, 2, or 3 years on board, I definitely want to go into the strategy department of a cruise line. So strategy or sales, because it's those are the positions where you can kind of steer your work by yourself and steer in which direction you want to go. And yeah, that's what I like.
So
I like to change things.
Yeah, so in the future, you could be the one driving, the whole idea of what will be next as far as the cruise industry goes. First you saw it was where they sailed to, and now, like you said, the ships themselves have become destinations. So there's some smaller ships where, and like river cruising, we talked about that, where that's more about the destination. And I think like the Mediterranean for most of us here in the U.S., that's about the destination, seeing the different ports, but the Caribbean has really become more about the ship itself being the destination. So yeah, you could be one of the drivers to bring up what's next. I don't know what that will be.
Me neither. So hopefully I will get some ideas when I'm in these positions.
It's exciting to be kind of on the cutting edge of things.
Oh yeah. My private heart for the enthusiasm, or my favorite private cruise line is Norwegian Cruise Line. I don't know why, I just like them. But if I had to choose which company I would like to work for, it would be Royal Caribbean, because they are the ones who always think of something new, and they change their products, especially with the brand Royal Caribbean International. And they have innovation labs. They have so many people working on new things. Amazing, just amazing.
So much more innovative, or one of the innovative leaders here in the cruise industry right now, Royal Caribbean, huh?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, we kind of got off tangent there a little bit from the ITB, but what else kind of came out? What else did you take away from the conference? What are people talking about in the cruise industry? What did you hear?
One of the major topics definitely is over tourism and overcrowding in general, but also in cruise destinations. Yeah, as you just mentioned, when you come in port on a small Caribbean island with 4 or 5 ships, 20,000 passengers go off the ship within 2 hours when they arrive, and they stay for maybe half a day, maybe a whole day, and just rush off afterwards. That's a problem for for more and more destinations and more ports. And the second very important topic in cruises is environmental friendliness of the ships. So environmental protection, emissions. Yeah, we talked about that last time with the LNG propulsion systems and so on. So liquefied natural gas, not heavy oil and marine diesel. And these are the major topics.
Okay. Well, let's go back to the overcrowding. Did they have any solutions, or what were there any ideas to come about with some changes at all, or what did you hear in regards to that?
There are 2 approaches, so to speak. The first is to build smaller ships again. Yeah.
Okay.
So not 5,000 passengers, but maybe 3,000 or 3,500. So you can go to smaller ports, for example, where not everyone can go. And the second is, and I think that's also very important, to make sure that not in every destination cruise passengers are responsible for over-tourism and overcrowding. Venice, for example, is a very famous example for that, because only, I think, like 8% of all tourists coming to Venice are cruise passengers. But you recognize them immediately because the ships are in port and you see them coming, you see them leaving, and they all come in the morning and they all leave in the evening. When you have 30, 40, 50,000 people arriving by plane, you don't recognize it that much because they're arriving 24/7 almost, and you don't see the passenger or the streams of the people so much. So that's why cruises are made being responsible for tourism very often, which is of course true, but not always, so to speak.
Right.
And that's a very difficult situation for the industry, of course, because you have to be accepted by the locals.
Venice is a tough one there, isn't it? Because it's a big popular city. People are coming from trains and on planes, and then obviously the cruise ships they're kind of easy to see, kind of the cruise customers coming in, so maybe they get some kind of the blame for some of the overcrowding. With the islands, like most of them in the Caribbean, that's their lifeblood for a lot of them is the tourism industry. So I'm sure that they're happy to see them and to try and have the tourists have a good experience, but also for them to make a living off of it as well. So it's kind of a dicey situation between the two, isn't it? To try and figure out what the best example is.
Yes, it is. It's a very, very small path you could go. Yeah, there's no trivial answer to this problem.
Right.
And it's going to be complicated. Maybe I'd write my master thesis about it.
Yeah, if you could go ahead.
My dissertation.
Yeah.
I just said maybe it could be a topic for PhD or something.
Yeah, one of the things I heard about the Disney cruise ships, the new ones, now this is some speculation and some rumors that maybe they would have, and I saw this once on a yacht in San Diego, this is like a huge yacht, but maybe they would have almost like kind of a port that they could open up a door where people could do experiences like on the ship without actually having to go into the ocean, go into the island. So things like maybe they would have some small boats that they could bring out where people could parasail. And the thought behind that was maybe they could go to some smaller islands where there's limited things to do, but you wouldn't have the overcrowding of everybody showing up at Grand Cayman. So they could find, and I don't even have an island in my mind, but maybe a smaller island where a limited amount of people could go in and experience stuff on the island, where a lot of the other passengers on the ship could spend a day parasailing or doing some things like that. So I think there's some innovative things out there, or some innovative thinking that I think the cruise lines are thinking about. It's just what they're going to come up with.
Yes, absolutely. And it sounds very plausible, actually, to me, all these speculations. And that would also fit to the innovation spirit of Meyer Werft.
Yeah, I heard that from a gentleman named Len Testa, who's here in the U.S. He's been on a couple of our shows, and I just have been thinking about that lately as you were talking about with the smaller islands. Because the airline industry has really done that too. We saw the A380 and the 747, these big planes that can move people, but you're kind of limited in the markets that you can go to with those planes. And so what's happening, and I don't want to totally go sideways here, but maybe I will, but the 777 and the new Airbus A370, which is kind of on the same lines as the 777, it doesn't carry as many passengers, but it can go directly between destinations that, like here in the States, between like Seattle, some of the smaller Chinese cities where they have industry, you can send a 777, but there's not enough people to send a 747, if that makes any sense what I'm saying. So it's really changed the whole airline industry, and I could see maybe in some ways doing that with the cruise industry as well. You have these big mega ships that can go to certain ports, but then you have these smaller ones that the cruise line runs as well that go to some of maybe the smaller out-of-the-way islands, and so you can choose. Do you want the destination being the ship or the destination being the islands that you're going to? So,
yeah, that would absolutely make sense, and it makes sense because there are more and more frequent cruisers, and they don't like to experience the 10th time the same route in the Mediterranean, for example. So you have to get innovative as a cruise line.
Yeah, you hear with Disney, to bring back to the Disney's perspective, they have a ship, the Dream, that goes to Nassau. They do 3 and 4 day cruises where they go to Nassau, Castaway Cay, and back. And if it's your first time in Nassau, a lot of people get off and they want to experience it. But and this is not to pick on NASA, but after you've been there several times, a lot of people don't even get off anymore. They just stay on the ship and they enjoy what a day on the ship. So yeah, definitely you can see that as far as what I hear from people talking about Disney Cruise Line, just wanting to be able to go to new destinations, want to see different things. And so part of that is just their size that doesn't allow them to do that. But as they get bigger, hopefully maybe they can expand. And same with some of the other cruise lines as well, as they change up their routes and itineraries.
Yeah, that I think they will do when their fleet size increases. It's more possible because when you only have 3 or 4 ships like Disney Cruise Line, you have to be on the routes that give you cash.
Right.
That you can absolutely be sure the ships will be filled. And when you have a larger fleet, you can do some, let's call them experiments.
Right. Well, awesome. So a little bit about LNG, so talking about the environment, talking about maybe capacity issues as people get off on the different destinations. Any other trends that you heard and they were discussing at the conference?
I'm pretty sure there were more trends, but I didn't hear of them.
Okay.
I was only there for 3 days, which was very tough. So that's the big news, so to speak, or the big topics that were discussed there.
Well, awesome. You've had quite an event a couple of weeks since we talked. We've got the Bliss has gone up into the North Sea. They've conveyed them. They've done their conveyance up to the North Sea. They've been checked out, and you'll be sailing on them in April. And then you've done the ITB conference, and then you'll be looking. August will be coming soon. I hate to say that, but August will be coming soon, and you'll be on your way for how long is your? Are you signed up to work at on Mein Schiff 3?
The contract is around 4 months.
Okay.
So I will be home before Christmas.
Okay. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
last contract I spent Christmas and New Year's Eve on board, which was absolutely fine. But this time I want to spend it with my family again.
Yeah. How was that New Year's Eve? I would listen to somebody talk about spending New Year's Eve on a ship, and I never really thought about it before. But if you had some good friends and maybe your family with you, I think it would be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We had, of course, special arrangement. We had special menus in the restaurant, and we had a big party on the pool deck. And very special for us, not so special for Disney Cruise Line, passengers, we had fireworks on the ship.
Oh, wow.
So we spent the day at sea, and then we had fireworks at midnight, which is obvious.
Well, what a fun time. And then you're with your coworkers too, I suppose, so it's kind of fun to be with
so
that.
I worked like until midnight, because we had a parade of all the officers on a small stage on the pool deck, and then we toasted, like it's tradition in Germany. I don't know if you do that in the US. Afterwards, we were off and had a little party on the sports deck for the crew, which was very nice. Had some sparkling wine, and afterwards we went to the crew bar, and here I stopped telling.
Sounds like a perfect night. Yeah, we like to, everybody does the big countdown at midnight, and then most people will toast their favorite beverage, whatever that happens to be, and maybe a kiss if you're with somebody special, and cheer in or bring in the new year. So
yeah.
Is there anything else that we should talk about today, Florian, that you can think of?
No, let's save something for the next episode.
Okay,
I have nothing to talk about anymore.
Well, thank you so much for coming on again. I really appreciate it. I always enjoy our talks, and it's just fun to talk. It's fun to talk about the cruise industry in general. We're big fans of Disney Cruise Line here on the DCL podcast, but it's fun to learn about what's going on in the whole industry in general, and kind of seeing some of the trends over there in Germany.
I hope that I don't get too specific and too much into details.
No.
But when I do, please stop me.
No, it's perfect, and it was fun with the numbers. So, well, I want to wish you the best of luck as you head over on your cruise on the Norwegian Bliss, and I look forward to talking to you after that and kind of following along on your blog as well.
Well, thank you. And I hope to give you some good stories and photos and videos from Norwegian Bliss.
Perfect. Well, have a safe trip, and we'll talk to you soon, Florian.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. I really want to thank Florian for coming back on once again. It's always a fun time to talk to him about what's going on over at Meyer Werft, and just to talk about the cruise industry in general and kind of get a view from it over across the pond over in Europe. So I really want to thank him once again for coming on. And as I was editing this show, Florian was actually on his 2-day cruise on the Norwegian Bliss. So in the show notes, I'll leave a link so you can connect with him on either Facebook or at his website, Cruisefjordlotse. And he's got just some amazing shots from his cruise on the Norwegian Bliss and the new ship that will be sailing, I believe, this week across the Atlantic for Norwegian. And talking about sailing, Christy is finishing up her vacation as well, 15 days through the Panama Canal and then on to Disneyland. So I hope you've had a fun time following her on her website, packyourpixiedust.com, or on Facebook as well at packyourpixiedust. Just kind of an amazing trip that she and her family have been on. And she will be back hopefully next week, and we'll be recording kind of all of her experiences about the Panama Canal trip. Looking forward to that. So between now and then, if you want to get in touch with me, Steve, you can get a hold of me through Facebook at DCL Podcast, or you can follow me on Twitter at DCL Podcast as well. With Christy, as always, you can find her at her website, packyourpixiedust.com, Facebook at packyourpixiedust, and on Twitter at packyrpixiedust. And if you've been enjoying listening to our shows, we'd love it if you'd pass it on to somebody else who you know would enjoy it and would like to just kind of take in either Adventures by Disney, Disney Cruise Line, or just cruising in general. We'd love it if you'd pass it on to them. That helps us grow the show and kind of get the word out in the cruising and Disney community. So between now and then, if you're heading out on your next cruise, all of us here at the DCL Podcast would like to wish you fair winds and safe journeys as you head out on your next adventure. Once again, thanks for coming back and listening, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.